Have you ever wondered what happens when a soul is cast aside by those she trusted most? Yet fate still sends a stranger to remind her she is worth saving? If you believe in courage, resilience, and the kind of love that blooms in the ashes of despair, then stay with me to the very end of this story. And before we begin, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us on this journey where every story reminds us of the strength of the human spirit. The wind howled over the dry plains as dusk bled into night. Somewhere beyond the ridges, the Apache campfires were burning, yet one woman lay abandoned in the wilderness, half hidden beneath a cloak of dust and shadows. Her name was Nayeli, once known as the fiercest Apache warrior woman of her band. She had fought alongside men, hunted for her people, and guarded the young. Her spirit had been unbreakable until the day the battle took her legs. It happened during a raid. The settlers had retaliated against the Apache, and the clash turned brutal. Nayeli fought like a hawk protecting her nest, but when the smoke cleared, her lower legs were shattered beyond healing. Carried back to camp, she thought her people would honor her bravery. Instead, whispers began to circle. A warrior who could no longer walk was a burden, a mouth to feed with no hands left for the bow. One morning, while the sun was still low, she awoke to find the camp gone. They had left her on the plains with only a canteen of water and a tattered blanket. No farewell, no ceremony. Her tribe had cast her away to die quietly, to fade like dust in the wind. For 2 days, Nayeli dragged herself along the dry earth, her arms blistered, her body broken. Hunger gnawed, thirst burned, and despair crept in. She looked to the sky and asked the Great Spirit why life had spared her in battle only to abandon her in shame. She thought of ending it herself, surrendering to the buzzards that circled above. But then, hoofbeats. A lone cowboy rode along the ridge, his horse's silhouette carved against the sinking sun. His name was Thomas Carver. A drifter with no home, no family, carrying only his saddle and the ghosts of his past. He had seen too many wars, too many broken souls, and he had long stopped believing in purpose. Yet something in the figure crawling across the dust pulled at him. He dismounted, and when his shadow fell across Nayeli, she raised her head with what little strength remained. Her dark eyes still carried fire, though her body was failing. "Go," she rasped. "Leave me. I am nothing now." But Thomas knelt, his weathered face lined with both grit and gentleness. "I don't believe that," he said quietly. "A woman who's crawled this far isn't nothing." Against her protests, he lifted her into his arms. She fought him at first, fierce pride still clinging to her. But exhaustion finally silenced her resistance. He carried her to his camp, fed her water drop by drop, and kept the fire burning through the night so the coyotes would not come near. The days that followed tested them both. Thomas searched for herbs and dressed her wounds, crafting crude splints for what remained of her legs. He hunted rabbits, cooked broth, and fed her with patience, though she cursed him often, saying he was wasting his time on a woman who would never walk again. But Thomas had his own scars. Years ago, he had fought in wars that left him haunted, and he knew too well what it felt like to be discarded by the world. "Maybe you can't walk," he told her one evening, "but you can still fight. You can still live. And if you've still got fight in your heart, I'll stand with you until you find the reason." Slowly, something began to change in Nayeli. The bitterness didn't vanish, but beneath it, hope stirred like embers under ashes. With Thomas's help, she learned to balance herself, to use a crutch he carved from a mesquite branch. Her arms grew strong again, her spirit sharper than any blade. Where once she thought her tribe's rejection meant the end, now she began to see it as the start of a new path. Thomas and Nayeli became unlikely companions. By the riverside, she taught him Apache songs, the language of her people, and the stories of her ancestors. In return, he taught her to shoot with a rifle from horseback, steadying her in the saddle though her legs were gone. The world had tried to erase her worth, but together they were rewriting it, day by day. But fate was not done testing them. Months later, they stumbled upon a group of settlers under attack from bandits. Thomas fought bravely, but it was Nayeli, balanced on the wagon, rifle in hand, who saved the day. Her sharp eyes and steady arms dropped two bandits before they could harm the settlers. For the first time since losing her legs, she felt the rush of being a warrior again. Word spread. Settlers whispered about the warrior woman who, though crippled, defended families with a courage that humbled even the strongest men. Some mocked her, but more came to respect her. And slowly, Nayeli began to understand. Her tribe may have left her, but she had not been abandoned by life. In the quiet of the prairie nights, sitting by the fire, Thomas and Nayeli's bond deepened into something neither had expected. Two lost souls, both left behind in different ways, found in each other a reason to keep going. Love did not come quickly, but when it came, it was steady, rooted in shared pain and shared healing. Years later, the people who had once discarded her would hear of the Apache warrior woman who, even without her legs, rode with courage, fought with honor, and loved with a heart stronger than steel. And standing by her side was the cowboy who had seen her not as broken, but as unbreakable. So, if you've ever felt abandoned, rejected, or told you were worth less because of what you lost, remember Nayeli's story. She was left for dead, but she lived. She was called weak, but she proved stronger than anyone could imagine. And sometimes, all it takes is one soul. One unexpected person who refuses to walk away, to remind you that you are not done yet. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who might need the reminder that even in our darkest hours, we can rise again.